Hello, and welcome to Fusion Writing, where building character meets creating structure. This is our writing week, and it is also our first week that many of us are actually holding in our hands Victoria's book. It's our first writing week with the book on writing from a Zettelkasten available. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these team up. Victoria, what have you got for us?
Well, I mentioned yesterday in the tease that we're going to approach things the Hemingway. So, for those of you who have subscribed to the Anti-Novelist monthly newsletter, on page 8, I give you an exercise that is attributed to something Hemingway taught a student. So, we had this young man that approached him and basically said, "Teach me how to be a writer." And Hemingway said, "Yeah, right. Just follow me around for a while." So we invited the young men down. They spent all this time together talking about writing. Can you imagine those conversations? But one of the things that really stood out to me about the advice that he gave him jives nicely with what we're talking about in regards to research-driven writing. And I'm speaking particularly about primary research. Now, you may remember back to week 1, we talked about how primary research is basically like a piece of your experience collection. It's observing the world around you, recording your own observations, your own experiences, and then drawing on those later in order to inform the details and the realism of your writing. So this is exactly what Hemingway told this young man to do. He essentially said, first, observe something very carefully. Bring your whole being to observing that one thing. Like maybe you're sitting by the ocean and you're just watching the waves and the water and the horizon and the light and the sand. You're just completely immersed in that observation. So that's step 1. In terms of your writing assignment, that's step 1. Choose something and absolutely immerse yourself in observing it. Now, the second step, obviously, is to write it down. Sit down and describe every single detail that you can recall from memory. Writing while you're observing, that's cheating. Take that memory, sit down someplace undisturbed, and record everything you can recall, because you want this to be a true transformation from what you've observed through the filter of your mind and your memory onto the page. So you're working that writer's muscle. Once you've done that, the second step is the most important, and it is to rewrite that very same observation, but from the perspective of a different person. If it helps you think of it, think of writing it through the eyes of one of your characters. And the most important aspect of the exercise, especially in regards to the way that Hemingway taught it, was don't try to judge or influence or teach the reader. Just relay the experience honestly and thoroughly through the eyes of either another person or of a character. So for example, if you're kind of thinking, I don't know, this is not making sense, this is a little crazy. What if you call that observation up in your mind's eye and you retell that observation through the eyes of your grandparent, or maybe through the eyes of one of your children? Think of it that way. How can you put yourself into the mind of someone else who you know very well and describe what you're seeing as if they're telling you about it? That's really working your character writer's muscle. So that's your challenge for this week. The outcome of all of this is what I'm hoping. This is going to dovetail back into direct versus indirect characterization. Because if you follow this exercise to its natural end, what you're going to find is you may discover that describing something this way is much more powerful than describing it the other way. That's the value in breaking it down from those different perspectives. What you may find, for example, is maybe there's a revelation in your story, something that you're going to share. And in rewriting that revelation through the eyes of your main character, versus maybe through the eyes of 2 other characters who are discussing your main character, and the revelation comes out in that discussion, what does that do? Well, if 2 characters make the revelation discussing the main character, that means the main character doesn't know yet. So rather than them just sharing that information, you have held back that reveal for the main character, thereby still sharing the information with your reader because those two characters discuss it and make the revelation. But your main character is churning along in the background, building tension up to when they get the big reveal. See how that hits differently? That's my hope, is that if you make your observation, maybe play with a detail in your story, a discovery, something, write it from different perspectives, and then choose the one that best serves your story. That, my friends, is your assignment. So dive in, get that pencil and paper ready, and do it the Hemingway. Kathleen?
Oh, okay. That's when I'm going to have to actually get there and get out my pen and paper and do it because I'm a newsletter subscriber and I for sure I'm doing every step in your book and I'm going to do every step in your newsletter. So I hope I don't have to finish doing your book before I can read your newsletter. Victoria, do I have to have read the whole
No,
book before your newsletter will make sense? Oh, good.
no way. You're good. You don't
Oh.
even need the book to read the newsletter. You're good.
Okay. Well, my work is something that I want to practice doing, and it's something, an assignment I want to give myself. So I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to also give you the same assignment. Well, we've been talking about responsibility all this month, and if you're like me, you've probably put together your plot box. I got four plexiglass, they're individual little cases, and I've got one act in each case, and I've got all my little dividers made up. And I have nothing, well, I can't say I have nothing. I have one card in each act saying about what happens in my novel in that act. That's it, because I'm just brand new with Victoria's book. So the task that we're going to do is we're going to take the character trait of responsibility and we're going to think of a spot where in the story or the novel or whatever you're working on, or just a practice scene if you're not in the middle of anything right now, where does responsibility fit in? Now, I have some characters in my story who are, everybody's trying to shirk their responsibilities. So my question is going to be, okay, is the kid the only responsible character in this story? So it will be easy for me to find a character. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slot it in to make a story card for it. Just like it's just like an experience card, only you're going to tell the experience as though it was the character having the experience. So we already went over how to make experience cards. And you're just going to make a little card for it and slot it in. And then I'm challenging you to write a scene that shows responsibility in action and shows where it fits in. Because responsibility can have a lot of different roles in the story. If a character, forgets a key responsibility, that could be a big turning point. You thought you were going fine, and one of my characters does that. She's supposed to be the navigator on this quilt trip, and they've decided they're taking this leisurely trip out to a week-long quilt seminar. And so they're visiting all these quilt shops and doing all these fun things on the way out. And they've decided to have lunch at a waterfall cafe that's partway up a mountain. Well, my character seriously overspends in the quilt shop, and she's going over her receipt and wondering how is she going to tell this to her husband. And in my head said that she's not being the navigator. Up until then, she's been a flawless navigator. They're winding up this mountain road, and she doesn't notice the turnoff. And the road gets narrower and narrower and narrower. And they're driving this big old boat of an old car that they just chose to take because it's a giant trunk. Now they're on this road that's gotten impossibly narrow. Half of the road fell down the cliff, and there's a big boulder keeps blocking them. How are they going to turn this boat of a car around and start coming back? So the scene that I'm going to slot in to my character cards. Make sure that's I've written a draft of the scene. But I'm going to make sure I know where responsibility fits into that, and I'm going to slot it into my plot box. And I invite you to do that as well, because as you start to get comfortable with these character traits, and boy, oh boy, do we have a slew of them in the back episodes. So, and every one of them has the character trait in the name of the episode. So if you've got a different one in mind, maybe you're thinking about, oh, you know what? I'm going to think about the self-control one. That's the key thing. If you don't want to do responsibility, go to a back episode, pick a different character trait and start slotting them in because these character traits can really be used to move a scene in an extremely believable way. So that is your responsibility. That's for the week. Okay, Victoria, anything to add?
No, that's fantastic. We've got some good exercises going here. So I would encourage everyone to just take a whack at it and see what you come up with, because now that we're getting deeper into the possibilities and the utility of both story structure and character traits, we're going to start finding more and more ways to begin morphing those into stepping stones for story. So I think we have a lot of exciting work ahead of us. But hey, Kathleen, if people wanted to share, where might they find us?
You'll find us at LiLLiPub.org. And LiLLiPub is still only $8 a month. Don't know how long that's going to stay. But as a tremendous surprise for you, if you don't already know, when you bought Victoria's book, check your email because that included a link for a 1 month free trial membership in LiLLiPub.org. So with the book, you save $8. That's practically half the cost of the book in your LiLLiPub trial. Whoa, how's that for a deal? And then you can actually do this exercise right along with us and post your results in LiLLiPub.org. So come on over.
Awesome.
Do
All right,
that.
guys, get busy.
Bye-bye.